Researchers recommend scaling back on the Bute after a new study showed its impacts can be felt within just a few days of administration, and we have some good news for horse owners affected by a shortage of shredded beet pulp. I'm Ryder, news editor of The Horse, your guide to equine healthcare. Welcome to the Ryder Report for November 18th. Phenylbutazone, or Bute, is an anti-inflammatory drug widely administered long-term for the management of painful musculoskeletal injuries, navicular syndrome, and osteoarthritis. While it's widely known that Bute can cause serious adverse events such as gastric ulcers or kidney dysfunction, most horse people believe these adverse reactions to be rare and therefore not something to worry about. But researchers are telling horse owners to think again. In a recent study, researchers at Louisiana State University found that major metabolic pathways, digestion, and systemic blood flow, particularly to the large colon, were markedly impacted after 3 days of treatment. During the 21-day study period, 2 of the horses developed colitis. Overall, the researchers said the results showed a wide variability in how horses tolerated the drug in both short and long term. They also pointed out that replacements for Bute with proven clinical efficacy and fewer adverse effects are available. Read more at article 13073 on thehorse.com. Plain shredded beet pulp, a source of digestible fiber for many horses, has been hard to come by this year for a number of East Coast horse owners. While the temporary supply will be available soon, the long-term outlook on beet pulp availability isn't as clear. Those we spoke with in the sugar beet and equine feed industries told us that seasonal and regional shortages are a larger issue endemic to the sugar beet industry, and horse owners are likely to notice shortages as demand is starting to exceed supply. Horse owners who rely on beet pulp might want to discuss feed alternatives with their veterinarians. Another option to avoid any future autumn shortages is to purchase a bulk quantity earlier in the year. Read more at article 13108 on thehorse.com. The Government Accountability Office issued its long-awaited assessment of BLM wild horse management practices to Congress on October 9th. The report, which was posted publicly last week, concluded that if the nation's wild horse and burro program was to survive, then the BLM must seriously consider euthanizing excess horses. The BLM will spend 74% of its $37 million budget this year to maintain more than 30,000 horses currently residing in long-term holding facilities. The National Wild Horse and Burro Advisory Board held a meeting to discuss its options November 17th. Keep an eye on thehorse.com for news coming out of that discussion. A carbon copy of one of the world's most successful barrel horses has become the first clone to be offered at stud in the United States. Clayton is the clone of the AQHA gelding Gill's Bay Boy, or Scamper as he is better known. Scamper and his rider Charmaine James dominated barrel racing in the 1980s and early 1990s. Together, they earned 10 consecutive world titles in the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. Scamper was also the first barrel horse to be inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Clayton has already been bred to 2 mares. The stallion, who turned 2 in August, commands a stud fee of $4,000. Read more at article 13107 on thehorse.com. A medication protocol that can induce lactation in open mares has changed the way Kentucky standardbred nursery Walnut Hall manages its nurse mare herd, while giving more than 20 rescued mares a new lease on life. Not only can unbred mares that have previously had at least one foal be persuaded to produce milk, but an adoption procedure also seems to stimulate maternal behavior, greatly simplifying the tricky process of getting a nurse mare to adopt an orphan foal. For an operation like Walnut Hall, which uses nurse mares routinely, it was a revolutionary idea. The facility adopted 22 mares. Their only requirements were that they had had at least one foal and had been good mothers. Of the 20 mares they've attempted the protocol with, 16 accepted their foals within half an hour, and all 20 accepted them within 24 hours. Read much more about this story at article 13103 on thehorse.com. A staff member of the horse also utilized this protocol when his broodmare rejected her foal. He kept a journal of that experience at article 9048. That's it for this week's Ryder Report. Visit thehorse.com for all the latest news on equine healthcare, management, and welfare. I'm Ryder, news editor of The Horse, your guide to equine healthcare. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.